Hi everyone, welcome to Coffee House Comics. This is a story about a terrible, horrible, no good, very sucky date. This is called 3 is Not a Charm because this is my third date with this guy. His name is Brad, and it was just really bad. So without further ado, I'll get on with the story. During college, my friend Chelsea worked at a farmer's market and we lived in the same town. We went to high school together, and her boyfriend Brandon knew a guy named Brad. And one day Brad was just in the store and Chelsea introduced me to him, and we started talking. We got along really good. Eventually, Brad asked me out for a date. Now, Brad was new to town, so he didn't really know too many people, and he came from the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, and he was telling me about a restaurant called the Goodville House, which is early American cuisine. And I'm a meat and potato girl, so when he was talking about roast duck or roast goose or cranberries and homemade apple pie, I was definitely interested. So I figured I can trust him and we could go to Lancaster if we met early enough and go to this Goodville House. And Chelsea vouched for him, so I wasn't too concerned about him. Like, is he a safe guy to date or anything like that? So our first date, I was calling him and texting him, and I wasn't getting a response. And eventually he got back to me and he said he was stuck at work late. Sometimes he had to go in on a Saturday. He was an IT guy, so that's understandable. And we ended up settling on a casual place in our town. At the time, there wasn't too many places to go around 8 or 9 o'clock at night without driving far somewhere. So we went to this restaurant in town and had a pretty good first date. And then the second date, we were planning on Lancaster again. So I showed up around 5 o'clock and he greets me and things seemed pretty normal until I went inside. And his friend Kyle was sleeping on the couch, passed out drunk. There was beer bottles and whiskey bottles. There was like a full bar laid out on the coffee table. And Brad was apologetic. He told me that Kyle just popped in. He's a neighbor. He lives in his complex. And he popped in for a while, but now he's drunk and he's going to try to get rid of him. He said, don't worry, I'll just get him up, I'll walk him home, and I'll be right back. So he starts lifting Kyle, and Kyle's still pretty much sleeping. So I'm like, how are you going to get him walk to the back of your complex? It's not exactly a tiny complex either. And he said, don't worry, I'll get him to come back. So Kyle stirs a little bit and starts resisting. He doesn't want to go home. So Brad's like, buddy, you have to go home. Elle and I are going out on a date. And Kyle was kind of arguing a little bit in a drunken slur. And Brad's like, I told you that Elle and I are going on a date. And I told you we're going to Lancaster and you have to go. So Kyle starts resisting and hanging onto the door frame, and Brad's really got to struggle to get him out, and he just will not go. And then he starts turning around and kind of getting away from Brad and then turning around and tackling him and doing everything he can to not go. It was sort of like a little dance. It was really funny to watch, but I was pretty shocked at the whole thing as well. So somehow Kyle turned Brad around and ran back into the house, and then Brad ran after him. Then I heard a big crash and Brad's hand was cut on the glass table. So Kyle's like horrified now, and he seemed to have sobered up, and he fled. So I helped patch up Brad's hand, and then we went to the 24-hour emergency clinic. So I brought him there, they bandaged him up, and everything was fine. But now it's about 10 o'clock. So we ended up back at that little restaurant in town, eating probably the same thing we ate last time. But he said next time we'll go to Lancaster. But the time after that, we had planned on seeing my friend Sully DJ at this club that's in town as well. And I told him all my friends are going, so why don't we do that? And maybe we'll try Lancaster on Sunday. So I brought him to the club and everything seemed fine. He got along with all my friends. And then Sully came by and he said hi. So we went up to the DJ booth and introduced Brad to Sully. And Sully's like, you know, they're talking and things seem pretty normal. So then we went downstairs and Brad wants to sit and have a beer. So I sat with him for a while. And about an hour later, I can see all my friends are dancing and having a really good time. So I wanted to get up and dance too. I don't go to clubs just to sit around. I like to get up and dance. And Brad was resistant. He's like, no, I just want to have beer. I want to sit and have beer. So all my friends are out there and they're calling us over. So Brad just wanted to sit and drink and drink and drink some more. So I got bored after a while and I told him I'm going to request a song. And Brad was saying, oh yeah, there's a couple of songs I like too. Would you put in a couple of requests for me? So I said, yeah, sure. So I went up to Sully's booth and there was a lot of people around him. He's very popular, well liked, and people were talking to him for a while. So it took a while for me to even get close enough to Sully to even talk to him. So I gave him my request, talked to him for a couple of minutes because there was still more people waiting to talk to him. So I wasn't talking to him for very long. And then Brad came up to the booth and started yelling at me and yelling at Sully. So I was pretty pissed off about that. I was very embarrassed too. I was just mortified. I just didn't know what I was going to do. I wanted to go home at that point. So he says, I'm leaving. And I was like, well, how are you getting home? And he's like, I'm just going to hitchhike or something like that. We had cabs, but they were sucky. And Uber and Lyft wasn't really a thing yet. I think it became a thing a few years later, maybe about 2 or 3 years later. Uber and Lyft came along. So the taxi services were not so great. And he really didn't know anybody except Kyle. And well, Kyle was like pretty drunk. So he was supposed to come and he didn't. So it's another thing where Kyle was pretty drunk. So he didn't know anybody to drive him home. So I ended up driving him home, but I was pretty pissed. And then after that, I went back to the club. So let me know if you have any sucky date stories. I would love to read them. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video.